All right, ready to get started with our weekly basketball press conference. We're joined now by head coach Rod Barnes, and we'll open up for questions.
Coach, your takeaway from the Northridge trip?
Whew, that was a tough one. Thought we got behind early like we did in the first game, and just didn't have the kind of focus or intensity to come back. I think says a lot about being at home. I thought when we played Northridge here, we got down the same way, and I thought home court advantage really helped us, and thought our fans helped us, and we were alone down there, and we didn't do a very good job of responding and coming back. Similar type of game in the sense they got off to an early start. But again, I think because when we were at home, our fans helped us, really kept us going. And then I thought we started to play well. I thought the same thing happened in the second half where we made a move to come back. But again, we didn't have enough to end up coming back, and had a couple of few key plays that would have made the game much closer, which I think would have put pressure on them. And we had a tough play there where we had an opportunity to cut it, and then Keontae, their kid, made a really big play for them and were able to score. And from that point on, the game just got away from us.
3-game losing streak right now. Your next 3 games against the 2 of the upper crust in the league.
Yep.
2 at home, though. Just your thoughts in terms of the sense of urgency that is needed right now as you guys get ready to host Santa Barbara.
Well, obviously, it's time. I mean, it's February. We're going down the stretch, so I think there's a sense of urgency from our players and our coaches. I think more than anything to try to play well and get back the way that we were playing. I just think the last few times out, I don't know whether it's a lull or whatever, but we just hadn't had the same kind of focus nor intensity. And again, that happens and starts from the head coach, and then it trickles down. So I've really challenged our coaches and challenged our captains, challenged our players. It's February, and again, just some of the performances we've had lately, I just didn't like the way we played and executed, and more than anything, the effort. And again, because I kind of don't know, because it's kind of one of those teams that's been a little bit of new for me. And what I mean by that, like, we got a bunch of new guys, first time going through, and I don't know if that's a little bit of fatigue or, you know what I'm saying, we've gotten tired mentally. But we've had some breakdowns that we haven't been having. And but we got back to work this week. I've been pleased. We've been on the floor a lot, to say the least, really focusing on some things that I think that we're definitely have struggled with. And I've been pleased with the effort and the focus that we've had. And looking forward to Thursday. Again, know it's a challenge, our next 3 games. But I think our guys know that if we come out and play the way that we're capable of playing, it's teams that we've seen before. We've just got to make the right adjustments and, also believe that we can win a game.
I would imagine one of those things you've been working on is defense. I realize Tom and Mark is not in the lineup, and that does make a difference. But teams are just getting to the rim with regularity. Can you just address that a little bit?
Well, I think some of that is basically what you just said. I mean, I just think, we're not defending as well. And again, whether that's, it's hard, from a coach to kind of gauge, because you have new guys come in and, it's been a drain of the season. And, every team, I think, has ups and downs as far as that. And this has been our down to me. I thought we had been pretty consistent overall, just with our effort, and I think the last 2 or 3 games, even in the games, we've seen some times where we show where we're a team that we had been, but, we've also shown that, we didn't defend, as you say. When you don't have that guy in the back, and people start to realize that that factor is not there, that player is not there, And obviously they're going to try to get to the rim and get to the basket. But we've got to do a better job out front as far as keeping the ball from being penetrated. And we've got to give a little bit more help, whether that's off shooters or not, to keep them out of the paint. The next thing is, and you said we worked on defense. We have. Our transition defense has to get better. We just, again, and I'm not making any excuses. I'm just, as a coach, you think about, because this happens a lot. When I mean by you have new guys that kind of go through that, man, I've been here since June, I didn't go home and those kind of things. You have a couple of games until you can kind of, break them out of it. And normally what happens is there's sense as we're moving to it, but we got to put ourselves in a position. You kind of get that refreshing or rejuvenated when you start getting closer to the tournament. And we need to do that now. We need to play with some urgency first. But more importantly, we're giving up too many baskets, easy baskets. And, again, a lot of that has to do with effort. But, again, that happens in the middle of the season. And different teams start to do that. Now we got to work our way out of this. And, again, I've been happy with our response, this week. But we got to execute once we get to the floor on Thursday night.
Coach, do you have how close is Tom Mark to returning? Do you have a timetable on that?
I like for it to be today. I would imagine we'll see him next week. I would hope so. Just looking at the way he's moving right now, I don't want to put in saying things specific, but, I'm hopeful. Not sure he'll play this weekend. If it will be, it'll probably be Saturday. But hopefully we can get him back by next weekend.
I know Greg kind of talked about the urgency you guys have right now, but how important is this week considering the race to Henderson is getting closer and closer?
Well, it's important. Because we're in a position right now that, you got teams that are at the top starting to make a move, and then you got a bunch of teams in the middle, and I guess you would consider we're at the lower half right now. But, if you win a couple of games, it puts you in a really good position, and right now we've got to make that happen. No one's going to give us the game, and we got to go out and win it. And, so it happens we have a tough stretch right here as far as teams that we're playing. But, again, that's, we've done it before, and we need to do it again. But I think if we can get back to just playing well, I think we'll be all right.
What problems does Santa Barbara present to you? Of course, the first meeting they jumped out to a lead, and Jamel was, ejected from the game. But when you look at their body of work, what's point to work on?
Well, their point guard is a kid, Swenson, that's probably one of the better point guards, in which a lot of point guards in our league are good, and that's what happens night after night. Cole Anderson's a kid that's shooting the ball unbelievable. His numbers are off the chart. It's unbelievable the way he's shooting the basketball. So, he's definitely someone that we've got to pay attention to. And then the big kid inside, he's kind of a center point guard in this sense because they go through him and try to get the ball back out. I thought last time we played them, in the second half without Jamel, I thought our kids played pretty good, even though we had gotten behind early in the game, and then, Jamel got ejected. But I thought if you go back and look at the second half numbers and the way that we played, we proved that we could play with them. Now we just got to make sure that we do that for 40 minutes. But good basketball team, well coached, shoot the ball well. We're similar in numbers as far as averaging points per game. So, we got to be on top of our game. And that's any game in our league. Like, it's just nowhere to go to say, hey, man, if we just do okay tonight, we're going to win. That doesn't happen. And that's why it's an urgency for us right now. Because you can't look down the schedule and go, hey, well, that's one we should probably get, and we'll be okay, and then we'll kind of get rolling. We've got to make it happen. We've got to go out and beat a good team to get back on track. And, as you ask, and I reiterated, there's some urgency from all parts. Again, more than anything, it's for us to play better. There's no way we can, win games, especially on the road, at this particular point with the way that we played the last couple of games. So we've got to come home and, really do what we do and really play with some confidence and play better defense, because that's where it's lying at. I mean, we score enough points. We're shooting a good enough percentage. We've helped ourselves as far as the free throw imbalance. Now we got to just go out and defend and not give up 50% and a half. Something that a territory that we've not known as far as for consistency in a season, and we've got to get that. So, but a lot of focus on defense, a lot of focus on transition defense, a lot of focus on communicating, make sure we come out and perform better.
Coach, last week it was a big crowd against Cal Poly because of Ag Night, and I know this week against Santa Barbara there's going to be a big T-shirt giveaway.
Yep.
Can you speak to the impact that the communities and the supporters has on your team?
Well, it's huge. I mean, I talked about that at the beginning, today about when we played Northridge and we got behind, and I think our fans played a big factor in that. Obviously, we were disappointed last week because Ag Night we had a great crowd and just didn't play to the level that we've been playing with, and that was kind of the first time that it was kind of like that we just didn't respond well at home. So I was very disappointed about that, but I thought the game before Riverside, I thought we played a pretty good game, just didn't get it done for different reasons, and we've gone through that. But it's a huge. I just think, and I've said this, home crowds are the difference. It's just history shows that any coach, any player, they win a whole lot more games at home than they do on the road, and we're going to need our fans the rest of the way. They can really come out and help us and push us over the hump and get us to Henderson and have a strong finish. And hopefully, by then, as we get to Henderson, that, we can have Tom back and really show the team that we thought that we would have on the floor, our best team, I would say that.
So you talked about transition defense. What about transition offense?
Mm-hmm.
It seems at times, sometimes the offense, when it gets caught in the half-court set, really has to work its way around even deep into the shot clock to get a shot off. And I'm wondering, are you willing or okay with guys maybe pushing it at a pace, even at the risk of turnovers, to maybe get the transition game going a little bit more?
Well, you can't get the transition game going that much if you don't stop anybody, because you're always taking the ball out after they've scored. If you don't get deflections like we were doing early, it's hard to get in transition. The reason that people get in transition on us most of the time is because we're not scoring the ball very well. So it's a combination of things. I don't have a problem with any of the guys. I'm not, we haven't done anything any different than we did early in the year. It's just a situation of our defense is not as good. Where we talked about, factoring in our steals are down. Our defensive possession, when you scoring almost 60% in some halves, it's hard to get out and run and make plays like that. But I don't tell our guys when to shoot, when not to shoot, or we trying to stop in the half-court set or anything. This team has probably been the least one that I've even talked about setting up a set, because we have guys like Jamel and we have guys like CJ that can get out in transition, and guys like the McGee brothers who I'm okay with shooting open threes. Our problem is defense. And until we're one of the worst teams that I've ever had playing defense, and until we do that, but defense turns into offense. You get a steal, you get a deflection, you get a rebound, but if you're going to consistently every time got to take the ball out, it's hard to get a rhythm to push the basketball up like that. Also, on the back end of it, if you don't score, it's tough to get into a press situation. A lot of times when we get in the press situation, we end up being more active and being a team. And this team happens to feed off of that, So, we're trying to figure out, what it is in every situation, but it's like I told our coaches, like, man, the score is 74 points. We're averaging 74 points a game. I mean, you got to play some defense. Like, can't go out there every night and it's 80 and 90 points a game. Like, this is just too much. Even the teams in our league that are scoring and that are good at the top of our league, their defense is good. And that's how they win in the game. They got good offenses, but then people don't really understand that, one of the better steal teams around is San Diego. One of the best defensive teams all around is Irvine. So, we've got to put the defensive part to it, and then I think that'll help us with our offense. But just to answer your question, man, I'm not probably least, tight, if that's what someone want to talk about with our players. We're shooting better from the three, and we shoot it more than what we've been shooting it. We got to get stops. It's just that simple. We got to play some defense. We got to get a chance to play some defense, to get the rebound, to get in transition, and not have to take the ball out of every single possession. And when you're 6 out of 10 times in a half, that's a lot. It's a lot of times for that ball to go through the basket, and then you got to take it out and take off with it. That's not even counting fouls, when we foul someone. So defense just not very good, and we got to get better at it, and we got to get better at it real quick.
One final component that I think lends into your defense is fouls.
Yep.
If my numbers are correct, because I one day just added them up, I think I'm remembering right. In 5 home games, you've shot 148 free throws.
Yep.
But in 6 road games, one more game, you've gone to the line 120 times, so 28 times fewer in one extra game. Mm-hmm. And maybe that's just Big West basketball being on the road, I don't know. But obviously, right now, your offense can't just give up 10 more trips to the foul line and expect to win. Mm-hmm. Just your thoughts in terms of getting that through to your guys. Can't foul as much and put these guys on line, whoever the opponent is.
Yeah. That's all I'm going to say, yeah. Yeah. I mean,
I got you. That's all you want. That's
well, yeah. Just say yeah. Hopefully, I answered your question. So, let me say this again. I think the great thing about it for me, and through this whole situation, and it's tough, lose 3 games in a row, but I'm thankful for our kids that we've had some pretty intense, tough practices, and they've responded well. Hopefully we can get it fixed and play well enough for Thursday night. But I do believe we're on the right track. So hopefully that works for us come Thursday. If not, we still have a bunch of games to go, and we still in the race to get to Henderson. And again, it's different, I think everyone would expect us at this particular point to have a tough few practices, and that's why I said from the beginning I'm very pleased with that, and I think we've got to put it all together. What I mean by that is we need a good crowd here. We need our fans to help us, because we're not the most confident team in the sense that we've lost 3 games. I don't think we're down and out, but it'll help if we got a few more voices in there to yell, because effort during this time is important. And I think the kids have put the work in. I think our coaches have put the work in. Again, we got to go out and do it and execute it. But I feel better this week than I did last week from just a standpoint of the demands that are put on our kids and the way they've responded. So we're in a good place today, and hopefully we have a few more practices, and before we actually play, and hopefully we can improve. But this is not something that I think anybody in our organization, anybody in our program is taking lightly. And again, it's not all about, it's about wins and losses. It's wild, but it's about the way we play the game. And we haven't done that. And again, that's back to fundamentals and doing some things when we couldn't score the ball at all. The years that we've had guys that, you know, we played with a team that went to the NCAA tournament and the game is 56-48 and we win it on a bad night. This is what you have to do when the competition is like this. You got to win and not shoot the ball and have to score 80 points to win the game. And we haven't done that here recently. And we've got to get back to that.
More questions for Coach?
where they are and where you are?
I think the gap is just in terms of finishing. I see a lot of teams, though, like across women's basketball, but in the Big West, just finishing, like around the rim. The conversion rate isn't as high. But I think that and turnovers for us, because the last 4 games we've been in, and the last 3 before the Northridge one, we're up at half. So there's some growth there. But yeah, I think it's just the finishing ability and just being able to be consistent all 4 quarters. Some of those teams have that, and they're some more chemistry, I think, maybe just finish, and some people have been in those moments, and we're still growing in that area.
So I think people can see from the scores the growth that your team has, even though the win total hasn't changed a little bit, but the games look and feel different. What would you say about, or what is happening there that is at least making these games more competitive of late?
Yeah, I think we're just converting a little bit better. We can still improve in that area, but then I think better defense, like scout wise, we've done a better job. But then it'll be just for certain periods, it'll be like 25 minutes to 30, maybe 32, and so it's just finding that 40-minute that max out. But we've gotten better at trying to put full games together. So that part's been nice, but we've been in games now, so it's just finding ways to finish,
Your thoughts on Santa Barbara?
I think they're a solid team. They have great guards, like a plethora of guards that can just score it. And, 4 or 5 starters from last year, but we lost that game by 4, and we missed 9 layups at the rim, so that's 18 points, and then 4 free throws. So that's 22 points, and you lose by 4. So if we can, again, convert and finish more efficiently, then, those are games you have a chance. Even though they're experienced and have been together a little longer, we can still compete with them, so I expect to do that.
Besides converting buckets like you just talked about, what are you looking to improve just the team overall this week?
Really looking to improve defensively. It's more about, just stacking scout stops. I believe if we've worked on it and repped it all week, as far as the actions they're going to run, then we've got to stop those, or at least try to get some deflections and steals, because what's coming, essentially. So just us being disciplined in those details. Scout prep is so important to us, and we put a lot of time and effort into game plan. So us just being able to execute that for a full 40 minutes.
It's been a long haul for you, long haul for the team. What would you say the mindset of the girls is right now?
Yeah, I think the mindset is still that they're growing, and to keep doing that and just trying to enjoy the process, not be so focused for these guys on the outcome, but if we can still have the incremental growth in offensively and defensively, and then from a culture standpoint, just trying to make sure everything is still intact. Outcomes are important, but I believe the process is important, but you have to be disciplined and execute your process to at some point get the outcome, right? And so just being focused on being disciplined and doing things right at a high level is still important, and just keeping these guys bought into that.
For you, has there been any level of frustration? And if so, what level?
Have I been frustrated? Definitely. But it's like coaching is just a puzzle. You're just trying to find what works, and scratch your head and just try to find solutions over and over and over again. So, but that part is fun, and you're just trying to find the right combinations. And so, I've been frustrated, but you always just have to keep responding and move on, So I get to live in that for moments, and usually in the middle of the night when I wake up. But gotta try to respond and just keep finding ways to make the group better.
Yeah. Last one for me. I'm just sort of curious just how your mind works on this. What sticks with you longer? Like a game where you lose by 30 and you just go, that's not a good look, or a game against CSUN or Fullerton that you thought you should have, could have, would have, and you didn't?
Yeah, I'm just asking myself this the other night and with my mentor, but it's the ones that I think that are closer. And it's more fun to be in those. Like I told the group after, I think it was after Cal Poly, I was just like, well, remember when we were getting beat by 30 or so, and now it's, these are single digit games that you have control over at some points, and so I like being in those games because you really get to coach and you feel like you're in them. So those ones hurt a little bit more when you can't close them out, but I just keep thinking about the foundation being established and, just getting some more conversion and shot making and like you can really win games in this conference. I believe like it's very winnable, so just gotta get the scoring piece down and then stacking stops. Like if we aren't going to score at a high level, we have to get stops. You know what I mean? So yeah, just focusing on that.
To piggyback on that, I know you're going to coach hard whether you're down by 30 or 40, but when you get into those games that get away and where you almost want to say, can we start the bus? How difficult is that to coach the back halves of those games? Or is there a challenge there, or are you, how do you handle it?
Yeah, those games for me are tough because I think they're so winnable, and so I think it's more about just trying to get the group to believe that it can be done, and to win. I think any bit of losing in the culture or the program, like it has to go, and like it's hard to get rid of it, from a mindset perspective, and just trying to get these guys to maybe believe that they can do it. So it's more of trying to like rid that, I feel, because I think they're capable. So yeah, those games are tough because I know like we should have had, I think a really mature team would have won at least 3 of those last 4. But we have people who are just so young, I think, in terms of like playing experience, even if they're older. Some people are coming off injury. Some people just haven't been in this role where it's like, we need you to produce every single night. And so I think they're getting kind of some more experience playing and learning those roles, so that ideally, next year you can step into that and then produce consistently night in, night out.